Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, fan of Atarashii Gakko, among other things. And I got a query from one of my patrons, and this has been asked before. People who know my theatre background have asked me to talk about some of these Japanese bands that I follow in terms of their theatrical self-presentation. Before I do that, if you haven't already done so, please consider picking up my new novel, Hideki Smith, Demon Queller, which is about a mixed race family like mine battling Japanese monsters in the mountains of North Carolina. I've touched on it occasionally, looking at both choreography and movement on stage, the incorporation of scenic effects, lighting, costume changes, and so on. But it's hard to talk about the process by which these things get generated because, of course, a lot of these bands, baby metal in particular, are very close-mouthed about what goes on behind the scenes. We are given a finished product, and we don't get to see how that product is constructed. And they'll talk about it some in interviews, but a lot is kept quiet. Atarashii Gakko are a different kind of band, and recently they have been showing a lot of rehearsal videos in which you see their entire choreography for a song shot in a single take.
Get it. マジ退屈かも分厚いな教科書手に夢の中へと可愛いなあの子手を取る放課後アクションを起こせ今こそ
隣の敵の真似事やめよう変わるよ日に日にいつでもギリギリ先生
Which I find fascinating because you see what they're doing and the clarity and crispness of their movement in ways that you don't see from either a music video or from on-stage footage, especially when it's cutting between cameras, changing angles, moving in focus, things like that. You don't see the entire thing as an organic whole. But in these videos, in these choreography videos, they do. But again...
誰かに見られてんのあんたバカね気づかれてるのわかんないの邪魔するならここで終わらせるだけさ敗北が何かって教えてやるんだ今日この日この時を守れるならお安いご用
But again, what you're seeing, of course, is a finished product. You're seeing the dance as it has been constructed and rehearsed. You're not seeing the process by which that dance is, I was going to say built or discovered, however you want to put it. With Atarashii Gakko, they have always said that they are their own choreographers, that they put together their own dance routine. And this is fascinating to me because it's one of the many ways in which some of these groups, Atarashii Gakko, Baby Metal, and others, look in certain respects like idol groups, but function in ways that are not, or produce music that is not. You can expand the idol category by including a kind of evolution of the form into something else, something in which the members of the groups themselves have much more creative agency. That's the key to me. But one of the things that has happened in the last 12 months or so is that they have taken fairly conspicuous advertising gigs. There was the one that they did for Nike. And just recently, they've done a couple of ads for a soy latte coffee drink by a company called Craft Boss.
どのラテがおすすめですか？
ソヤ
美味しい。クラフトボスからソイラテ新登場。
朝から仕事したくない。
ソヤ
クラフトボスからソイラテ新登場。
Now, obviously, what you see in these commercials is that their movement is really tight, it's focused. It's not dance exactly so much as the movement into a series of poses. Very dynamic, energetic, but given the brevity of the commercial, the energy is being suggested through a simple visual stance. Now, what to me is fascinating is that in this video that came out around the same time, there was a lot more of the footage of how this thing was put together, how it was constructed.
新しい学校のリーダーズの鈴鹿です。今はクラフトボスの撮影をしています。Rock and roll!
And what's really striking is that the members of the group talk about finding these certain kinds of poses.
このソイヤ感といい、ソイヤ感ね、ソイヤ感ね、この、ソイヤ感とこの靴下、協調性ですね。はい。だからこう何かしらポーズでテンってやるじゃなくて、やっぱこう足をね見せて、ソイラテクラフトボス、これをね強調するのをこだわったね。ね。
And then we see footage of them actually putting some of this stuff together during the shoot itself.
こういう感じ？
こんくらい？こんくらい？いつもより必死めだけど。
見せる
から
そうです。で最終的には
どうするか手片手前にする。
なんかこれこっち上する。
あ、そうや。
せーの。
そうや。
ありがとう。せーの。
そうや。
And what I find really interesting is that despite the fact that there is a ton of people involved in the recording, right, in terms of the light and the cameras and the sound people and the directors and the cinematographers, whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of people behind the camera and people who are on set to be participants in the video as well. What there isn't, so far as I can see, is a real director. I mean, there's a director for the actual commercial, somebody who's looking at composition and the shape of the action and how to get the product across as quickly and effectively as possible. And there is presumably a script, storyboarded perhaps in advance. But what there isn't is somebody telling them what to do, nor is there a choreographer. And we see in these little moments that they are basically building it between themselves on the fly.
前がちょっと上がってるぐらい。ありがとう。じゃあ、補助入ってください。
なるほどね。
ありがとう。じゃあ。
So we can see them discussing both the angle, how they hold the product, how they come up with their various moves. And then we see a moment like this in which Suzuka has to present one of the people in the cafe with the drink. And she's given no direction. She's told to do something dramatic, presenting the product and giving the name of the product, and then she makes stuff up.
スタート。
そや
はいカット。カット。はいよーいスタート。
そや
はいカット。スタート。
うしわうやおろせそやそや
長い。
15秒いっちゃう。
よーいスタート。
そや
はいやった。
This to me is fascinating and unusual, and it means whenever I've worked with choreographers, there's a spectrum, of course, in terms of the way they work with dancers. Some of them are basically modeling every move, every step, right? Showing them how to do every single thing, and then the dancers are copying them. And some are improvising not to be copied, but to suggest a kind of feel, and the dancers then are freestyling, basically, making stuff up based on a kind of shared tonal vocabulary that has been established through conversation and through casting, right? You choose the dancers that you want to use because of what you know they can do, as well as what they look like, and so on. So there's something similar going on here, except there's even less control, even less direction from some outside force. That the members of the group are simply making stuff up. They're throwing a lot of stuff against the wall to see what the company finally decides they want to use.
で下ろしてそやそや
おろしてすぐ一発目のそややろ
そや
そやそやでカナダ一番最後じゃん
そうだね私下ろしたまま下で待ってるそや
そやそやそやそや
はいはいはい
はいはいはいはいこういう感じがある
したらはいはいはいはいはいはい
はいはいそやそやそやそやほんでそや
そやそやそやだから
下から行くやつ
いきます。ミュージック。外しちゃいます。スタート。
首だけかな最初
So they're improvising, they're trying different things. Now, I find this really surprising because if this was them making a music video or them rehearsing a routine for their own live show, then maybe that's a little less surprising. But for them to be doing it for a commercial in which the company has basically said, we're choosing these guys because we trust them to come up with something exciting and fun and dynamic and energetic, something that communicates what we want this product to say. And we're just going to get out of the way and let them do it. And that's amazing to me.
はい、ガット。
いい感じいけたいけたできましたイエーイ
OK
ありがとうございます
You don't see a lot of this kind of improvisation on the set of a commercial, I don't think, particularly in Japan and particularly involving musicians. And so again, you know, this is part of this longer conversation about are Atarashii Gakko an idol group? And I think moments like this are further instances of why in many ways they are not. Because their own talent and creativity and work, there's a lot of work going on in this video, are coming from them. They're not being told where to stand. They're not being told what moves to make. They're not being coached. There's all these people in the room, but nobody's telling them what to do. And I find that really fascinating and encouraging, because again, I've been saying this for 3 years about these guys. Whatever else they are artists. And I think of Atarashii Gakko, and I realize that I'm going to be the exception here, but I think of them as an art project. And it's an art project that comes out of their own instincts and their desires and their talent, even in a situation where they're not making art per se, they're making a commercial for a drink. But it still feels utterly organic and spontaneous and coming out of them as individuals and as a artistic collective. And I think that's really cool. And that's all I wanted to say. This does not answer this question about the theatricality of how these things get put together really at all, but it's an example and I wanted to share it. So that's all I'm going to say for now. As ever, please like, comment, subscribe, share your opinions if you have other insights into this particular group or other groups in terms of their self-presentation. Check out my books. Thanks to my patrons, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.